Yo, what up? Pagan here with the weekly dev update for Sonic Entropy. Let's boost through the progress made in week 10. Selecting objects in our level editor was annoying, so this week we improved at using shaders. When drawing an object in 3D, there's a program running on the GPU called a shader, which calculates its color and then writes 8-bit RGB pixels to a render target. But we aren't limited to only one render target, and render targets can be in formats other than RGB. We added a second render target that stores a single 32-bit integer per pixel, and we modified the shader to write the object's entity ID into the second render target. This lets us figure out which object has been clicked on by reading the pixel value from the second render target that corresponds to the mouse position. But we can't do this directly, because render targets only exist on the GPU, so we have to copy the whole thing back to the CPU, which is slow and wastes memory. So instead we wrote a second shader, which copies just the pixels around the mouse from the second render target to a third temporary buffer, and then copies just this tiny buffer back to the CPU. But we can do better. Entities in Cyclone only use 20 bits to store their ID, meaning we have 12 bits left over that are completely unused. It's free real estate. We can use the upper 12 bits to store additional information about where an object was clicked, for example, which part of a path was just clicked on for finer grain selection. And we don't have to change anything to make this work. We just use slightly different numbers for different parts of the mesh when submitting draw commands, and when reading back the numbers after clicking on something, we can split the number into two parts and choose to either use or ignore the upper part depending on what mode we're currently in. This system is a massive improvement on how Cyclone used to work, because we had to click on a specific position to select an object, and this only worked in the 2D viewports. And now we can click anywhere on an object to select it in both 2D and 3D. And that about does it for this week. Remember to subscribe to our channel if you want to stay up to date on our fan game and level editor, drop a like if you want to help us grow, and subscribe to Blitzy OS on Twitch if you want to watch me do game dev live or watch my wife create concept art. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week.